you breathe? Are you deep breathing? Are you really taking care of yourself?
Tonight, fighting for sanity on the saddest day of the year.
Our team is strong. We are passionate, committed, and dedicated.
There's a new premier in the Yukon Territory.
We have the beard oil, which is made by Kristen. It's the Sasquatch Beard Oil Company.
A pair of storekeepers battle cultural appropriation and make money doing it. Good evening, I'm Priscilla Wolf. The third Monday in January is known as Blue Monday. That means today is considered the most depressing day of the year. APTN's Chris Stewart talks to a psychologist about what people can do to help your mental health.
Christmas is over. Those credit card bills are coming in, and it's the coldest month of the year. It's not hard to see how your mental health can suffer at this time of year. Chevy Rabbit is a longtime LGBTQ+ activist. She says the discrimination she has faced has taken a toll. She sees a professional for help.
So I have severe seasonal depression, so sometimes I'll be in bed up to 14 days in the winter. And in recent years, I definitely think the gay bashing incident, the stalking, the bullying, and the different layers of being a public advocate has added to that pressure on top of the Canadian Indigenous experience.
She is not alone. The Centre for Addiction and Mental Health says that in any given year, 1 in 5 Canadians will experience mental health issues. By the time you are 40, you will have a 50% chance of experiencing a mental illness. Lee Sheldon is a Cree psychologist practicing in Edmonton. She says that it's not just Blue Monday, but the entire month of January that sees an increase of issues that combine to become a problem.
It isn't just Blue Monday in general. January is a very difficult month for our people that we work with. In January, what we find is that there's a little bit more issues with income, not having access to food. Also, as Christmas is over, people, we see a little bit more of the domestic violence and family violence. We also see an increase with addictions.
Sheldon says that embracing your culture can help keep you from feeling depressed or anxious.
One of the things with our Indigenous people is just being very mindful about our culture and how culture ceremony is so important. Being access to those round dances and sweats and our land, as I'm drinking my Indigenous tea, it's really important to have access and connect with those medicines and those teachings.
She says taking care of your body is also essential.
And also just from a brain perspective, because I do study trauma, is really good habits and routine is really effective. What you're eating, what you're drinking, your sleep, when you breathe, are you deep breathing? Are you really taking care of yourself?
Chris Stewart, APTN National News, Edmonton.
Liberal Ranj Pillai has been officially sworn in as Yukon's 10th Premier. He was the only person to put his name forward after former Premier Sandy Silver announced he'd be stepping down as leader of the Yukon Liberal Party last fall. Pillai and his cabinet were sworn in during a ceremony in Whitehorse on Saturday. Pillai was first elected to the Legislative Assembly in 2016 and re-elected in 2021. He previously worked as a city councillor and was the executive director for the Champagne and Ajic First Nations government.
Our team is strong. We are passionate, committed, and dedicated to serving all Yukoners as we advance the territory in the years ahead.
The BC government announced new steps in addressing the housing crisis in the province. They are taking a new approach in hopes of having more homes built faster. BC Premier David Eby says his government will be creating a one-stop, streamlined approach for housing permits. Currently, the process can include multiple ministries. Housing will be prioritized to those who are most in need, including Indigenous-led projects, BC housing, and multiple unit applications.
Now, on many occasions, I've asked municipalities to speed up housing applications to get more people into new homes faster. It's only right, if we're looking to them, that we also look to ourselves. Our government should provide leadership and do the same when it comes to provincial permits. And that is exactly what we are doing. Thank you.
We want to hear what you think. Here's how to continue the conversation. Send your emails to news@aptn.ca. Leave a comment on aptnnews.ca. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. Follow APTN News to join the conversation and see our latest stories. Liberal MP Jamie Batiste is fighting for redistribution of his riding's boundaries. Angel Moore is working on this story and has a preview.
Jamie Batiste is the Liberal MP for the riding of Sydney Victoria, Nova Scotia. He was shocked to learn of proposed changes to the boundaries of his riding for the next federal election because they will no longer include the largest Mi'kmaq community in Nova Scotia and Batiste's home, the Eskasoni First Nation.
And it's almost like we're an afterthought. And it was very shocking to me to see that in 2022, in the era of reconciliation, in the era of UNDRIP, that we would have an independent federal body that totally ignores Indigenous perspectives.
What can Batiste do? And what does Eskasoni think of the changes? I'll have those answers for you on an upcoming broadcast of APTN National News.
Welcome back. The appropriation of Indigenous arts and crafts has been going on for years, and it has become more common during the era of social media. That's what inspired two First Nation entrepreneurs from Tyendinaga, Ontario, to create their own business. Here's Annette Francis with their story.
Use them here, but they also
this unique little gift shop is the creation of Mickey Doreen and Kristen Miracle. They call it Indigigifts, and it offers a variety of products for sale, including books, jewelry, and artwork.
We do have sweaters and like different cups and keychains that are made here locally by Razor's Edge Graphics and Signs. We have the beard oil, which is made by Kristen. It's the Sasquatch Beard Oil Company. We have some wonderful pet treats that are made in Campbellford, and they're all freeze-dried and Indigenous made. We also have language memory boards. So you match up the Mohawk word with the animal or number or color, whatever it is. And that's from Bayshore Design Company locally. So we have stuff from here, and then we have a lot of stuff from BC and other places.
It took 7 months of planning and research, but buying authentic Indigenous creations from across the country for their store was a must.
I feel and I believe that there are a lot of Indigenous inspired material and crafts, and maybe not crafts, but products out there that utilize Indigenous art, but are produced by non-Indigenous people. So we do our research, and we do really want to support Indigenous people within our store here. It is a small store, and it could do a small little dent, I guess, if you were to say, but I do feel that it is important for everyone to support Indigenous people and for us to support our community members and our community.
They also offer rental space to local Indigenous artists to sell their work. Tyendinaga artist Deborah Vincent is known for being commissioned to do a presentation piece by the Archbishop of Canterbury in London. But she's thrilled to rent some space for her creations.
So Kristen and Mickey, they have a beautiful shop here, right? And all of their pieces are so nicely displayed. They have such nice quality products that they brought in. So I'm really proud to be part of that here.
Since opening the doors, it's become quite a hit.
We did have a very successful women's shopping evening just before Christmas, and that allowed us to bring a lot of local people in and really put the word out. So we had to do pretty well a full restock of all of the items that were in, and which is awesome. And I think just getting those products out and to our community members and beyond is just amazing.
Merchandise is only available in the store for now, which can be found on Highway 2 in Tyendinaga. Miracle and Doreen say online orders might be something to look at once their little shop is more established. Annette Francis, APTN National News, Tyendinaga.
It's believed to be the first program of its kind in Western Canada. 6 new micro-credentials are set to be offered at Lethbridge College in the coming year, all with a focus on Indigenous policing. CTV's Carson Morsuk has more on what this means for Indigenous communities.
It's exciting. I'm really excited about this, and it's a big step forward.
In his more than 30 years of law enforcement, Blood Tribe Police Chief Grant Buckskin has seen changes in both communities and the police forces serving them. One of the biggest gaps, training to deal with Indigenous people. Buckskin hopes new programming at Lethbridge College will give officers a better glimpse into Indigenous communities and know it's more than just policing.
Like the Blood Tribe did with the whole opioid problem, was get this wraparound service. So, okay, we've identified the problem. We know this offense has happened, but rather than just going to court all the time and charging people, what can we actually do to help? What kind of services can we offer?
The Blood Tribe, Tsuut'ina Nation, and Lakeshore Police are working with the college on the new micro-credential training. The micro-credentials are a short-term, flexible learning programs designed for reskilling or upskilling those already in the industry.
There's 6 micro-credentials that we want to offer. So domestic violence, elder abuse is one, sexual abuse, human trafficking, impaired driving, Controlled Drugs and Substance Act and drug matters, also raiding and tribal police.
Through the new program, officers, cadets, and some justice students will have the option to take courses specific to Indigenous policing. The dean of the college's Center for Justice and Human Services says despite only releasing micro-credentials, there's still room to grow when it comes to Indigenous policing education.
It's not a far stretch to think about, could we offer an Indigenous policing cadet program? We know that there are many tribal police services out there right now. We have many nations that are looking to have their own policing services. So how can we assist them in developing that program and developing the education that's needed?
The first micro-credential is on track for an early spring delivery. Carson Marsuk, CTV News, Lethbridge.
It's a dark tale as old as time itself, and a warning to children to behave or else. Each year on January 6th, mysterious creatures known as the Naluyuit visit a handful of remote Inuit communities in Labrador. It's a little-known tradition that it's also the focus of filmmaker Jenny Williams' short documentary, Naluyuit Night. Shot in black and white, Naluyuit Night gives audiences a glimpse of the legend of Nalulujit in Nain, Labrador. The fearsome-looking creatures are said to emerge from the sea on January 6th, where they visit children in isolated Labrador communities. As per tradition, children must sing to the Naluyuit, who are rewarded with a gift if they please them. As for those who misbehave, they get chased and hit with sticks. The documentary is Williams' first film and is first known depicting the Naluyuit. Naluyuit Night is now available online after a festival run of 2 years. Jenny Williams is an Inuk filmmaker and photographer behind the documentary. She joined Daryl Stranger for In Focus, and here's a bit of that interview.
Jenny, thank you so much for joining us here on In Focus. Now, you've been photographing the Nalu for a few years now, right? Can you tell us a bit about that experience?
So I've been documenting through photography Nalu for 12 years. And on the 12th year, I decided to make a short film. And so I made a film with the National Film Board of Canada.
So why did you want to make this film in the first place?
Well, I had my photography in different exhibits across Canada, and when people see photos of Nalu they have a lot of questions, and in exhibits I just have a little bit of time for quick chats with people who are looking at the photos, and most of the time they've never heard of Nalu and they don't know about our tradition in Labrador. So I wanted to make a short film to explain better about what the tradition is and how it looks from where it takes place in Maine.
Are you able to give us a little bit of what are some of the traditions and that sort of thing, just like a little preview before we watch the film?
So it takes place every year on January 6th. And in the film, I try to make it so that it would seem like you were there. It's not like regular documentaries, and my photographs are in black and white, so I also did the film in black and white. And so what you'll see is right from the beginning of the night when the Nalu they walk in from the ice, and then they enter the town, and so you'll see right from that. So they're coming in, they're in town, and you'll see like the community members. And the way that I filmed it was actually happening. Like I actually was there on January 6th in 2019. I had two camera guys, a sound guy, and my producer, and it was me directing. So we went around all that night, and what you see in the film is real. It's like the real thing. So people aren't acting or anything. Like we're going around just like I would go around any other year, like running around with everyone else in the town and just showing what it really is.
Right. So what was that like? You had mentioned January 6th. So what was January 6th like for you and the crew to be there?
It was really cold because it was like we filmed it in it's more than -40.
Oh wow!
So getting those big cameras working in the cold was interesting. Mm-hmm. So I learned some skills over the years on how to make the cameras stay going in the cold where it's so freezing there. In earlier years, like my photography camera would freeze up, and like the zoom and stuff, the focus wasn't so good. So after a few years, I tried using those warming things that you can put inside your mitts or your boots, the little warming pocket things.
Right, yeah.
So I ended up starting to put those in my pocket to put extra batteries and like sticking them onto my camera where the batteries go. So since I learned that in previous years of doing photography, that's what we did with when we were filming with the video cameras. Mm. We put those things where the batteries go and had like a sock on the camera, and like we had to do certain things in order to film because it was so cold. And we had one night only. Like if we didn't get what we needed to get that night, we'd have to wait another year to try again. So we needed those two cameras to work.
Well, you got to do what you got to do sometimes, right?
Yeah. Anyway, it was cold, but it worked. Like the cameras worked. Everything was perfect. Like we got a lot of footage, like 9 or 10 hours of footage. Made it hard to cut it down to only 13 minutes, but that's what we did over 4 years. We worked on the editing process and everything else for 4 years.
You can watch the rest of that interview with Daryl Stranger on In Focus in the coming weeks, and can see the full version of Naluyuit Night on the National Film Board's website at nfb.ca. Well, it's time for another break, but first, the hockey world lost a hockey great.
You may know me as Gino, but at heart I'm just a kid who grew up on Kitigan-Zibi First Nation of the Algonquin people of Quebec.
Welcome back. Time now for our photo of the day. With the mild temperatures in southern Manitoba, there have been some mornings where hoarfrost has covered the area, and Dave Menzies sent in this close look at what hoarfrost looks like. Thanks, Dave. We want to see your photos, so send them in now by email to share@aptn.ca. Now let's take a look at tomorrow's weather forecast. We'll start with the east for our weather. It's -3 in Fredericton and +5 in Halifax. It is -17 in Maine, -3 in Happy Valley Goose Bay. It is -4 in Quebec City, -5 in Montreal, +3 in Toronto, and +8 in London. -1 in Timmins and +1 in Elliott Lake. -14 in Thompson and -12 in Norway House. -10 in Winnipeg and -3 in Brandon. -9 in Regina and -7 in Estevan. -8 in La Ronge, -7 in Buffalo Narrows. -6 in High Valley, -10 in Peace River. +2 in Calgary and +1 in Lethbridge. +8 in Vancouver and +8 in Victoria. +2 in Smithers and +2 in Prince George. -7 in Whitehorse and -18 in Beaver Creek. -7 in Yellowknife and -14 in Fort Simpson. -24 in Fort McPherson. -16 in Will Cove. -26 in Iqaluit. -32 in Arctic Bay. The hockey world is mourning the loss of one of its all-time toughest players. Vancouver Canucks legend Gino Ojic has died at the age of 52.
You may know me as Gino, but at heart I'm just a kid who grew up on Kitigan-Zibi First Nation of the Algonquin people of Quebec.
Ojic would go on to become one of the most feared players to ever lace up. He holds the Canucks franchise record for penalty minutes. With over 2,000 off the ice, Ojic used his platform to inspire a generation of Indigenous youth. And Manitoba's close-knit Indigenous music community has lost another one of its own. Clint Dudiome passed away over the weekend. He hailed from Richer, Manitoba, one of 13 children. He was best known as one of the deadliest fiddle players around. Clint Dudiome won the Manitoba Country Music Instrumentalist of the Year 9 times and was a Manitoba Country Music Hall of Famer. He was part of the Seaweed Band and eventually started the Younger Brothers with his siblings. He was a devoted music teacher. We give our condolences to him and his family, or to his family. That's the newscast.